Welcome back, everyone, and I'm here again with Jeff Grant, SBR contributor, and today we're going to be looking at that college football game between Illinois Fighting Illini and Ohio State Buckeyes. How you doing this morning, Jeff?
Doing great, Dax. Looking forward to talking about this matchup because Ohio State has a lot of work to do if they want to land one of the 4 top spots in the college football playoff. And, of course, they may get caught looking ahead to a road game against Michigan State on November 8th.
Yeah, man, and what's going on with Illinois? I mean, they've dropped 18 of their last 19 games against ranked opponents, which gets me to thinking that they probably don't have a chance of upsetting the Buckeyes in this Saturday. But what do you think about that, man?
You're absolutely right in that statement, Dax, and a lot of that's due to the fact that their head coach, Tim Beckman, has never won a game against a top 25 opponent in his coaching career, and Illinois is one of the worst road teams in the Big Ten Conference and perhaps the nation, and they're simply not going to have enough to upset the Buckeyes in this spot because they're still missing their starting signal caller, Wes Lunt, that went down with an injury a couple weeks ago. He's missed the last 2 games, but Illinois is fighting, and they did pick up a victory against Minnesota, but that was an ugly football game. Now they've really ratcheted up in terms of strength of schedule, traveling on the road to take on the Buckeyes.
All right, now, Jeff, focusing on Ohio State, I found an interesting stat about them that says that they've won 19 of their Big Ten Conference regular season games under head coach Urban Meyer. Now, do you think that they'll have enough motivation and also be focused enough on this game to cover that number, considering that they have that road game against Michigan State, as you said before, on deck for next week?
That's really the question of the day, Dax, because when you look at Ohio State, 3-7 against the spread in games before facing off against Michigan State, and this has become a bit of the biggest Big Ten rivalry in recent years, especially with Mark D'Antonio at East Lansing with Michigan State. So you definitely got to think that Ohio State's going to be looking ahead from a roster standpoint. But I watched Urban Meyer's press conference earlier this week, and he really was adamant about cleaning things up. But the problem is for the Buckeyes in trying to cover this type of number is J.T. Barrett, their star signal caller, who, of course, took over the role after Braxton Miller was lost to a season-ending injury during the preseason. He suffered a sprained MCL knee injury, and there's really word that may have been the same injury that he had that knocked him out of his senior year in high school. So if that's the case, if that's the same knee, which I have yet to read upon because there's really not a lot of information that goes on with college football injuries of this type these days. Coaches kind of like to hide these type of things. So I'm just not sure if they're going to be able to cover this number if he's not 100%, because he really is a dual threat, and they're going to want to try to expose Illinois' defense that ranks 120th in the country in allowing 258 yards on the ground. But if Barrett's not able to run the football, then that really isn't a main angle that Ohio State's going to be able to attack. But it may not matter, Dax, because when you look at Ohio State, since Meyer has landed in Columbus, they've scored 112 combined points in 2 meetings against Illinois.
All right, this definitely sounds like it was a tough game to pick, man. So are we going to be taking or are we going to be laying the points on this one?
After 9 weeks of previews, you're absolutely correct, Dax, by reading what I'm looking at this game, and I simply can't find an ATS pick, but I'm going to go the other direction, and I'm going to go with the betting total. I'm going to go under the total. I already mentioned Illinois is still without its starting quarterback, and they were really moving the football with big plays offensively when they had Wes Lunt. That simply isn't the case now, and they're going to go against arguably the top or second best defense in the Big Ten in Ohio State. Ohio State, on the offensive end, just lost one of their key contributors in a running back that just got suspended. And also I mentioned they're going to be careful with J.T. Barrett and what they try to do offensively. And more importantly, in terms of the market, this number was released at 65, and there's been absolutely no movement. And basically, Ohio State to the over has been cashing at home. I just don't see that being the case, and I think the market is really telling me that. So I'm going to go under 65 on Saturday, and I expect this game to potentially go above that 65 number as the week progresses.
All right, Jeff, it definitely sounds like it's the safest bet right now, my man. As always, it's a pleasure talking football with you, and I look forward to doing this again tomorrow, man.
Thank you.
No problem. And for SBR Picks, this is Dax Floyd.
The SBR Network offers free sports picks and game breakdowns. big money free betting contests year-round, a real-time Vegas-style odds monitoring service, and much more. So come see for yourself. To stay updated on SBR news and promotions, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and do be sure to subscribe to the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel to catch all our daily sports shows.